Have you ever watched water running downhill? It always takes the path of least resistance, doesn't it? Human beings are naturally the same way. We are programmed to conserve energy, to avoid pain, to seek comfort. That's our natural state, but success doesn't live downstream. Success lies upstream. And you have to force yourself to swim against the current of your own nature to reach it. Now, when I say force yourself, I don't mean make yourself miserable. I mean applying the discipline necessary to overcome your natural tendencies toward procrastination, toward mediocrity, toward settling for less than you're capable of. You see, we all have two voices inside us. One voice says, take it easy, do it tomorrow, who will know the difference? The other voice says, do it now, do what's right, build your future. The voice you listen to will determine your destiny. Most people, sadly, listen to the wrong voice. That's why most people don't succeed at the highest levels. They don't force themselves, they drift. They follow the path of least resistance. They do what's convenient rather than what's necessary. Success is never convenient, success is never easy, success is never accidental. Success is deliberate. It's intentional. It's the result of forcing yourself to do the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. Let me share something with you that changed my life many years ago. My Mr. Shoaff said to me, Jim, if you want more, you have to become more. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Those words hit me like a thunderbolt. I suddenly realized that my income, my relationships, my future were all tied to one thing, my personal development. What I was receiving was in direct proportion to what I was becoming. So I started forcing myself to read books, to attend seminars, to find mentors, to keep journals, to set goals. I forced myself to change my vocabulary, to change my thinking, to change my associations. I forced myself to work harder on myself than I did on my job. And that's when everything started to change. Now, what does it mean to force yourself? It means doing the right thing even when you don't feel like it. It means getting up early even when you want to sleep in. It means saving money when you want to spend it. It means speaking the truth when a lie would be easier. It means preparing when others are playing. It means investing in your mind when others are wasting time. It means practicing when others are partying. But here's the beauty of it. When you force yourself to do these things day after day, month after month, year after year, they stop feeling like force. They start feeling like freedom. The discipline that seemed like a burden becomes a blessing. The habits that felt restrictive become liberating. What you once had to force yourself to do becomes what you can't force yourself not to do. Let me tell you about two different farmers. One forces himself to get up before dawn, to check his equipment, to prepare his fields, to study the latest agricultural techniques, to monitor the markets. The other sleeps in, works when he feels like it, farms the way he's always farmed, sells when he needs cash. Both planted seeds in the same soil under the same sun with the same rain. But one will harvest abundance while the other will barely get by. The difference isn't in the seeds or the soil. The difference is in what each farmer forced himself to do. You are both the farmer and the farm. You are planting seeds of action, thought, and discipline every day. And you will harvest exactly what you plant. No more, no less. If you want a better harvest, you must force yourself to plant better seeds. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. They lack both patience and persistence. They want instant results, and when they don't get them, they quit. But success doesn't work that way. Success is like a giant oak tree. It doesn't grow 6 feet in a day. It grows slowly, steadily, consistently over time. And if you force yourself to keep planting, keep watering, keep weeding, keep fertilizing, day after day after day, eventually you'll have something magnificent. I want to talk to you about 5 specific areas where you must force yourself to attract success. These are the areas where the differences between success and mediocrity are most profound. First, you must force yourself to develop financially. Most people spend their lives complaining about money, worrying about money, wishing for more money. But they never force themselves to learn about money. They never force themselves to save systematically. They never force themselves to invest intelligently. They never force themselves to create additional streams of income. Financial success doesn't come to those who need it, want it, wish for it, or deserve it. It comes to those who understand it and apply that understanding with discipline. Force yourself to save at least 10% of everything you earn. Force yourself to live below your means. Force yourself to create value before you expect to receive value. Force yourself to study wealth creation. Not someday, not next month, today. I used to say, I hope things turn out okay financially. Then I learned that hope is not a strategy. Hoping and wishing won't change your financial future. Only forcing yourself to develop new skills, new habits, and new disciplines will do that. Second, you must force yourself to develop intellectually. Your income rarely exceeds your personal development. If you want to earn more, you must learn more. Most people stop learning when they finish school. They think education is something you complete rather than something you continue. But success is attracted to growth. Success is attracted to improvement. Success is attracted to minds that are expanding rather than minds that are stagnating. Force yourself to read at least 30 minutes every day. Force yourself to attend seminars and workshops in your field. Force yourself to find mentors who can teach you what you need to know. Force yourself to turn your car into a university on wheels by listening to educational content during your commute. I remember when I started doing this, it wasn't easy. I wasn't a reader. I had to force myself. But I made a commitment to read at least one book a week on subjects that would help me grow. That's 52 books a year. Over the course of my career, that's thousands of books. And you think that made a difference in my life? You better believe it did. The books I read shaped my thinking, expanded my vocabulary, gave me ideas, changed my perspective. They helped me attract success because they helped me become the kind of person that success is attracted to. Third, you must force yourself to develop relationally. Success rarely comes to lone wolves. Success comes to those who build strong networks of relationships. You need customers who trust you. You need colleagues who support you. You need mentors who guide you. You need friends who encourage you. And you won't attract these relationships by accident. You must force yourself to develop them. Force yourself to put others first. Force yourself to listen more than you speak. Force yourself to give without expectation of return. Force yourself to keep your word. Force yourself to express gratitude. Force yourself to resolve conflicts quickly. Force yourself to communicate clearly. Force yourself to act with integrity even when it costs you. I've met too many talented people who failed because they couldn't get along with others. I've met too many brilliant people who sabotaged their careers because they were difficult to work with. Don't let that be you. Force yourself to become a student of human relations. Force yourself to become the kind of person others want to be around, want to help, want to see succeed. Fourth, you must force yourself to develop physically. Your body is the vehicle through which you will accomplish your goals. If that vehicle breaks down, nothing else matters. Most people know this intellectually, but they don't force themselves to act on it. They let fatigue dictate their schedule. They let taste buds dictate their diet. They let comfort dictate their activity level. Success requires energy. Success requires stamina. Success requires clarity of mind. And all of these are directly connected to your physical condition. Force yourself to exercise regularly. Force yourself to eat foods that fuel your body rather than foods that just taste good. Force yourself to get adequate rest. Force yourself to drink enough water. Force yourself to take breaks when needed. I'm not saying you need to become a fitness model or an Olympic athlete. I'm saying you need to take care of the only body you'll ever have. Because success is attracted to vitality. Success is attracted to people who have the energy to seize opportunities, to solve problems, to persist when others quit. Fifth, you must force yourself to develop spiritually. I'm not here to promote any particular faith tradition. But I will tell you this: success without meaning is empty, achievement without purpose is hollow. Wealth without wisdom is dangerous. You must force yourself to clarify your values. You must force yourself to define what success really means to you. You must force yourself to contribute to causes greater than yourself. You must force yourself to live by principle rather than impulse. You must force yourself to develop gratitude rather than entitlement. Some of the most miserable people I've ever met are externally successful but internally bankrupt. They have the house, the car, the job title, the bank account, but they have no peace. They have no joy. They have no sense of meaning or purpose. Don't let that be you. Force yourself to develop the spiritual dimension of your life alongside the material dimension. Now let's talk about some practical ways to force yourself to attract success. Because knowledge without action is worthless. Information without implementation is just entertainment. First, set specific goals. Vague goals produce vague results. I want to do better isn't a goal. I want to increase my income by 25% within 12 months by mastering these 3 new skills is a goal. Write your goals down, look at them daily, break them down into manageable steps. Then force yourself to take those steps whether you feel like it or not. Most people dabble. They try something for a while, then they try something else, then they try something else. Successful people commit. They decide what they want, and they force themselves to stay focused until they get it. They don't let distractions, obstacles, or temporary failures knock them off course. Second, manage your time. Time is the great equalizer. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. But some people force themselves to use those hours wisely, while others let the hours slip away on non-essential activities. You must force yourself to distinguish between the urgent and the important. You must force yourself to eliminate time wasters. You must force yourself to prioritize activities that move you toward your goals. I recommend planning your day the night before. List your 6 most important tasks in order of priority. Then force yourself to start with number 1 and stay with it until it's complete. Don't let interruptions, distractions, or your own tendency to procrastinate keep you from completing what matters most. Remember, you can't manage time. You can only manage yourself in relation to time. And that requires force. It requires saying no to good things so you can say yes to the best things. It requires turning off the television, putting down the phone, and focusing on activities that create value. Third, control your associations. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Their habits, their vocabulary, their attitudes, their expectations all rub off on you. So you must force yourself to associate with people who inspire you, challenge you, and elevate you. This isn't always easy. Sometimes it means reducing time with friends who are pulling you down. Sometimes it means seeking out new relationships with people who are where you want to be. Sometimes it means changing jobs to be in an environment that supports your growth rather than stifles it. But remember, you can't soar with the eagles if you're scratching with the turkeys. You can't become a success by surrounding yourself with people who are content with mediocrity. You must force yourself to find mentors, colleagues, and friends who expect the best from themselves and from you. Fourth, manage your emotions. Success isn't just attracted to what you do, it's attracted to how you do it. Your attitude, your energy, your emotional state all matter tremendously. Most people let circumstances dictate their emotions. Something good happens, they feel good. Something bad happens, they feel bad. They're like emotional weather vanes, constantly changing direction with the wind. Successful people force themselves to maintain positive, productive emotional states regardless of circumstances. They understand that emotion follows motion. They understand that if you change your physiology, stand up straight, breathe deeply, move energetically, you change how you feel. They understand that if you change your focus, what you're paying attention to, what questions you're asking yourself, you change how you feel. So force yourself to stand guard at the door of your mind. Force yourself to focus on opportunities rather than obstacles, on solutions rather than problems, on what you can control rather than what you can't control. Force yourself to use empowering language rather than disempowering language. Say, I get to rather than I have to. Say, I'm learning rather than I'm failing. Say, next time rather than never again. Fifth, develop your skills. Success is attracted to competence. Success is attracted to excellence. Success is attracted to people who are really good at what they do. So you must force yourself to practice your craft, to hone your abilities, to expand your capabilities. Most people practice until they get it right. Successful people practice until they can't get it wrong. Most people develop skills until they're adequate. Successful people develop skills until they're exceptional. Most people stop learning when they finish school. Successful people never stop learning. So force yourself to identify the key skills in your field. Force yourself to study those who have mastered these skills. Force yourself to practice deliberately, focusing on your weaknesses rather than just repeating your strengths. Force yourself to seek feedback, to learn from criticism, to constantly refine your approach. Remember, the marketplace pays for value. The more value you can create, the more success you'll attract. And value is created through developed, refined, exceptional skills applied to solving real problems. Now let me address something important. Some of you are thinking, this all sounds like a lot of work. This all sounds really hard. And you're right, it is. Success is hard. That's why so few people achieve it. That's why it's valuable. If success were easy, everyone would have it, and it wouldn't be worth anything. But here's what you need to understand. While success is hard, failure is hard too. Mediocrity is hard. Poverty is hard. Regret is hard. The question isn't whether your life will be hard or easy. The question is, what kind of hard do you want? Do you want the hard that leads to growth, achievement, and fulfillment? Or do you want the hard that comes from stagnation, limitation, and regret? I choose the hard that leads to growth. I choose the hard that leads to achievement. I choose the hard that leads to fulfillment. And I hope you will too. Because the hard work of forcing yourself today creates the freedom you want tomorrow. Let me tell you about 2 different days in your life. The first day hasn't happened yet. It's that day in the future when you've achieved the success you desire. When your finances are in order. When your relationships are strong. When your health is vibrant. When your contribution is significant. When you wake up excited about the day ahead and go to bed satisfied with the day behind. The second day is today. The day when you decide whether to force yourself to do what's necessary or to take the path of least resistance. The day when you choose between discipline and regret. The day when you determine whether your future will be created by design or by default. These 2 days are connected. The choices you make today create the life you live tomorrow. The force you apply today creates the success you experience tomorrow. The seeds you plant today create the harvest you reap tomorrow. I can't make the choice for you. I can only make the consequences clear. If you force yourself to do the right things day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, success will be attracted to you. It's not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. It's not a matter of luck. It's a matter of labor. Some of you are saying, but what if I force myself and still don't succeed? That's a fair question. But let me ask you this, what's the alternative? Not forcing yourself? Drifting through life? Taking the path of least resistance. Where does that lead? I can tell you from observing thousands of lives, it leads nowhere worth going. At least when you force yourself, you grow. At least when you force yourself, you develop. At least when you force yourself, you become more than you were before. And that's a kind of success that can never be taken away from you. Let me share a perspective that might help you. Success isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's not just about what you get, it's about who you become. When you force yourself to read books, you don't just get information, you develop your mind. When you force yourself to save money, you don't just accumulate wealth, you develop discipline. When you force yourself to keep your word, you don't just complete tasks, you develop integrity. The real value of forcing yourself isn't just in the external results it produces, it's in the internal transformation it creates. You become the kind of person who can handle success when it comes. You become the kind of person who deserves success when it arrives. You become the kind of person who can maintain success once you've achieved it. Many people want success, but they don't want to change. They want their lives to improve, but they don't want to improve themselves. They want the world to change to accommodate their weakness rather than developing the strength to change their world. That's not how success works. Success doesn't come to you, you grow into success. I want to talk now about the seasons of success because understanding these seasons will help you apply the right kind of force at the right time in the right way. The first season is preparation. This is when you're learning, planning, practicing, developing. In this season, you must force yourself to be patient. You must force yourself to build foundations. You must force yourself to develop skills before you demand results. This season can be frustrating because you're working hard but seeing little external reward. Most people quit during this season because they lack the vision to see beyond it. The second season is planting. This is when you begin to apply what you've learned. You start the business, you launch the product, you build the relationships, you make the investments. In this season, you must force yourself to take calculated risks. You must force yourself to overcome the fear of failure. You must force yourself to persist despite initial setbacks. This season requires courage because you're vulnerable. Most people never enter this season because they're waiting for guarantees that never come. The third season is cultivation. This is when you nurture what you've planted. You refine your approach. You make adjustments. You solve problems. You overcome obstacles. In this season, you must force yourself to pay attention to details. You must force yourself to maintain high standards. You must force yourself to keep going when progress seems slow. This season tests your commitment because the excitement of starting has worn off, but the rewards of finishing haven't yet arrived. Most people abandon their efforts in this season because they lack persistence. The fourth season is harvest. This is when your efforts begin to produce visible results. Money flows in, recognition comes, opportunities multiply, influence expands. In this season, you must force yourself to stay humble. You must force yourself to remember what got you here. You must force yourself to share the fruits of your labor. This season brings temptations because success can lead to complacency, arrogance, or excess. Most people who reach this season fail to sustain it because they forget the principles that created it. Then the cycle begins again. New preparation, new planting, new cultivation, new harvest. That's how sustainable success works. It's not a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. And each cycle requires you to force yourself in new ways to attract higher levels of success. Now, I want to address a concern that some of you might have. You might be thinking, this all sounds very self-centered. Is success just about me getting what I want? Not at all. True success includes contribution. True success includes making a difference. True success includes leaving things better than you found them. When I talk about forcing yourself to attract success, I'm not just talking about material wealth, although that can be part of it. I'm talking about creating value in every dimension of life. I'm talking about becoming someone who makes the people around them better. I'm talking about building something that outlasts you. The most fulfilling success comes when you force yourself to serve others, not just yourself. When you force yourself to solve problems, not just make money. When you force yourself to add value, not just extract it. When you force yourself to create opportunity for others, not just for yourself. I've known wealthy people who are miserable because they never forced themselves to develop meaningful relationships. I've known famous people who were empty because they never forced themselves to find purpose beyond applause. I've known powerful people who were fearful because they never forced themselves to develop inner security. Don't let that happen to you. Force yourself to define success holistically. Force yourself to grow in multiple dimensions. Force yourself to create a life of meaning, not just a life of achievement. Let me tell you about two people I've observed over my career. Both had similar talents, similar opportunities, similar starting points. But one forced himself to develop discipline, to seek wisdom, to build relationships, to create value, to maintain integrity. The other drifted, taking shortcuts when convenient, prioritizing immediate gratification over long-term growth, treating people as means to ends rather than ends in themselves. 20 years later, the first person had built a fulfilling life, a successful business, a loving family, a legacy worth leaving. The second person had accumulated a string of broken relationships, missed opportunities, and bitter regrets. Same starting point, different destinations. The difference: one forced himself to become the kind of person that success is attracted to. The other didn't. Which will you be? The choice is yours, but it is a choice you must make consciously and recommit to daily. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. It happens when you force yourself to align your daily actions with your highest values and your biggest goals. I want to give you some specific strategies for forcing yourself when you don't feel like doing what you know you should do. Because let's be honest, there will be days when you don't want to get up early. There will be days when you don't want to make those calls. There will be days when you don't want to keep your promises. There will be days when the couch seems more appealing than the gym, when spending seems more appealing than saving, when entertainment seems more appealing than education. First, connect with your why. Remind yourself why you're doing this, not just what you're trying to achieve, but why it matters to you. The stronger your why, the easier it is to force yourself to do the how. When your motivation is bigger than your hesitation, action follows naturally. Second, use the 5-second rule. When you know you should do something but don't feel like it, count backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then move. Don't wait for motivation. Action precedes motivation, not the other way around. Once you start moving, momentum builds and resistance fades. Third, create accountability. Tell someone else what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Ask them to check on you. The knowledge that someone else is watching and expecting results can provide the extra push you need to force yourself when your internal motivation is weak. Fourth, change your environment. Make the right behaviors easier and the wrong behaviors harder. Want to read more? Put books where you can see them and keep your phone in another room. Want to eat healthier? Stock your kitchen with nutritious foods and keep junk food out of the house? Want to save more? Set up automatic transfers so money moves to savings before you can spend it? Fifth, practice visualization. See yourself doing what needs to be done. See yourself succeeding. See yourself enjoying the rewards of your discipline. The mind doesn't clearly distinguish between vivid visualization and actual experience. When you clearly see yourself taking action in your mind, it becomes easier to take action in reality. Sixth, start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Force yourself to take one small step, then another, then another. Success is built one disciplined action at a time. As you experience small wins, your confidence grows and bigger challenges become more manageable. Seventh, practice gratitude. Be thankful for the opportunity to grow, to contribute, and make a difference. Be thankful for the capacity to choose your response to circumstances. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you have to do to what you get to do, and that shift makes it easier to force yourself when necessary. Let me tell you a secret that most motivational speakers won't tell you. Forcing yourself doesn't get easier, you get stronger. The tasks that require tremendous willpower early in your journey eventually become habits. They become part of who you are rather than something you have to make yourself do. I remember when making sales calls terrified me. I had to force myself to pick up the phone. My hand would shake. My voice would quiver. But I did it anyway, day after day, call after call. Now, it's second nature. I don't have to force myself anymore. That's how it works. What you force yourself to do repeatedly, you eventually do naturally. The same is true for saving money, for exercising, for reading, for having difficult conversations. For maintaining integrity would be easier to cut corners. The force required diminishes as the habit strengthens. The willpower needed decreases as the identity forms. So don't get discouraged if it feels hard at first. That's normal. That's expected. That's part of the process. Keep forcing yourself, and eventually you won't have to force yourself nearly as much. The actions that once required conscious effort will become unconscious habits. The disciplines that once felt like burdens will feel like freedoms. Now, I want to address another concern some of you might have. You might be thinking, I've tried to force myself before, and I failed. I made commitments to myself and broke them. I set goals and abandoned them. I started strong but couldn't sustain it. Join the club. We've all been there. The question isn't whether you'll ever fail in your attempts to force yourself. The question is what you'll do when you fail. Unsuccessful people use failure as an excuse to stop trying. They say, see, I knew I couldn't do it. This proves I don't have what it takes. Successful people use failure as information to adjust their approach. They say, what can I learn from this? How can I set myself up for success next time? If you failed to force yourself in the past, don't beat yourself up. That doesn't help. Instead, get curious. Were your goals too big? Did you lack accountability? Did you fail to plan for obstacles? Did you try to change too many things at once? Use these insights to refine your approach, not to abandon your efforts. Remember, success is iterative. It's not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about getting better over time. It's not about never failing. It's about never quitting. It's not about force without flexibility. It's about determined persistence with intelligent adaptation. As we begin to wrap up our time together, I want to emphasize something important. The decision to force yourself to attract success must be made daily. It's not a one-time choice. It's an ongoing commitment. Each morning when you wake up, you have the opportunity to choose discipline over comfort, growth over stagnation, long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. Some days it will be easier than others. Some days you'll feel motivated and energized. Other days you'll feel tired and tempted to coast. The key is to make the right choice regardless of how you feel, because feelings come and go, but the consequences of your choices remain. I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become. When you force yourself to develop discipline, to pursue excellence, to create value, to serve others, you don't just attract external success, you cultivate internal fulfillment. And that's a kind of wealth that can never be taken away from you. Don't wait for the perfect time to begin. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until the path is clear. Start now with what you have where you are. Force yourself to take the first step, then the next, then the next. Momentum builds through motion, not through waiting. Remember that success is attracted to certain qualities: discipline, integrity, knowledge, skill, persistence, contribution. Force yourself to develop these qualities and success will be attracted to you as naturally as iron is attracted to a magnet. Finally, understand that the greatest force you can apply isn't physical, it's purpose. When you're clear about why you're doing what you're doing, when your actions are aligned with your deepest values, when your work contributes to something larger than yourself, the need to force yourself diminishes. External discipline gradually gives way to internal motivation. What began as I have to transforms into I want to. That's the ultimate goal, not to live a life of perpetual forcing, but to align your actions so completely with your purposes that discipline becomes desire, that obligation becomes opportunity, that force becomes freedom. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I need to become to attract the success I desire? What habits must I develop? What skills must I acquire? What relationships must I build? What contributions must I make? Then force yourself to become that person day by day, choice by choice, action by action. The path won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. The force you apply won't always feel good, but it will always produce growth. The success you attract won't solve all your problems, but it will create a platform from which you can solve problems for others. And in the end, that's what true success is all about. Not just what you get, but what you give, not just what you have, but who you become, not just what you accumulate, but what you contribute. So force yourself today to attract success tomorrow. Force yourself in private to be rewarded in public. Force yourself when no one is watching so you can be confident when everyone is watching. Force yourself beyond your comfort zone so your comfort zone can expand to include new possibilities, new opportunities, new achievements. The future belongs to those who prepare for it. The rewards go to those who earn them. The success is attracted to those who deserve it. And you deserve it when you force yourself to become the kind of person that success naturally seeks out. Go forth with discipline. Go forth with determination. Go forth with the knowledge that the force you apply to your own development is the most powerful force in shaping your destiny. You have greatness within you. You have potential within you. You have success waiting to be attracted to you. Force yourself to become all that you can be, and success will have no choice but to find you. Thank you for your time and attention. Now go force yourself to take action on what you've heard today. Your future is waiting.